that 12-tribe breakdown is one of the world's best-kept secrets. And that's something that One West had completely correct. And let's get some understanding.
They say it's all a facade, and that there's really no supreme God. They say it's all a coincidence. To me, I believe golden ratio is God's fingerprints. It's laid out in the sequence. It's mathematics that creates the matrix. It's designed by intelligence. The disobedient, those evolutionary idiots. I'm talking about the atheists, the hating this. That's why we keep on making hits. We do this for the most glorious. And don't forget about the kids. Teach about the Torah and who really built the pyramids. Teach about Yahweh and the color of his skin. The brother was darker than Wesley Snipes, but that's a fact that many might not like.
Malcolm X said before they killed him, he said that in the future men are going to come before you and they are going to tell you that you are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Malcolm said out of his own mouth, I tell you, believe them.
Is deep, believe we the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Do you know how good it feel to know that God real? Recognize when you see that 7th branch hanging. We ain't about camp banging. Some study DNA and English genealogy. Others use the brown paperback policy. Obviously for years I knew we was part of prophecy. Fled Madrid, our birthright hid. 400-year bid. Puerto Riches, Ponce de Leon, shallow graves and ditches. The Spaniards' conquest for riches is sickening, disgusting. Let's have an honest discussion without any cussing and talk about the abomination of the nation. We fear every curse situation gon' get worse. The Most High's firstborn, Jeremiah 31, 9th verse.
Ephraim got brothers in it that look just like Esau, the devil, the white man. Yet many of them are our brothers and sisters. Ephraim is the Puerto Rican, but the original Puerto Rican were black as tar.
It was the Most High that scattered us, shine low that gathered us, born in Bethlehem and raised up in Nazareth, the image of the Father in all righteousness, heir to the throne, but they made Christ a myth. Why is this? The enemy is showing his hate for me, right in front of our face, but we vote for them faithfully. What a low down and messed up state to be. It's gonna change, but we have to wait patiently. Can't live in peace cause they profile racially. Their justice system has no justice in them. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for. When Christ take them down, they won't oppress us no more. All hail our King, he's taking his crown back. Jewels that I dropped in the form of a soundtrack. Food for thought, praying that the Savior comes quick. Northern tribes, southern tribes is really just one stick.
The 12-tribe sign is up to date. We've had white guys come up to us 30 years ago. Get out, rich white guys, and get out the limousine and downtown now and point to the sign and say, how did you guys find out? And so we said, what do you mean? He said, that sign. How did you find out the information? We paid billions of dollars to keep that. There's a book out now.
Chef, man, when they go low, I go to the Most High. Man, they hate Chef, I don't even know why. Why they mad though? They don't even know I. It's from the inside, they battling with pride. Is it cause I'm fly and I'm doing big numbers that you still mad for the last 6 summers? Favor from the Lord, you can't take this from us. Overcome your flesh, you should take tips from us. I run it back, pause, run it back, pause. Let me say it this way, take gifts from us. Put in work, Chef, nothing like them lip runners. The internet, they thugs, in life they like gunner. Lord, don't let them fake J dwell among us. Take them from they hate and awake them from they slumber. Before you kick them out of the faith, like punters. I pray they okay, see the light before the thunder ends. When they go low, I go to the Most High. Man, they hate Chef, I don't even know why. Why they mad though? They don't even know I. It's from the inside, they battling with pride. When they go low, I go to the Most High. Man, they hate Chef, I don't even know why. Why they mad though? They don't even know I. It's from the inside, they battling with pride. Damn, why they so emotional? This truth starting to feel like it's the Oprah show. And we supposed to be brothers with the open quotes. But niggas fighting for the power like they close to ghosts. And that's why I keep the tall me under the tall me. And chef like the Navy, more like the army. And shout out to the priest, see he tried to warn me that brothers front too, and they never was for me. Why? I thought that we could all be friends. Then I thought again, and I went and bought a Benz, the S500, 2024, no extra miles on it. I'm blessed and while anointed. That's why I keep my eyes on the heels of Yahweh, cause he's the designer, though the devil wears Prada. In a blue dress, I never dance with her. I tell her I'm too blessed. All praises to the Father. When they go low, I go to the Most High. Man, they hate Chef, I don't even know why. Why they mad though? They don't even know I. It's from the inside, they battling with pride. When they go low, I go to the Most High. Man, they hate Chef, I don't even know why. Why they mad though? They don't even know I. It's from the inside, they battling with pride.
What's going on? What's going on, family? Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. And I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, the world called Jesus Christ. It's your brother, priest Danyaahla, represent Lines of Israel, represent Maccabeestv. As always, I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God for another Sabbath. I pray that everybody that's listening is found in good health and good spirits as much as we can be in this captivity that we are in. I want to shout out everybody that's listening to us on our YouTube platforms, Maccabeestv and Lines of Israel class. Guys, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Hit the like button on the video. Drop a comment in the comment section to trigger the algorithm. We appreciate y'all coming every week. Shout out to everybody that's watching us on Messiah TV. We appreciate y'all as well. Shout out to Messiah for allowing us to broadcast on his platform, and throughout to him for bringing his platform back. And it was a blessing. So Messiah came out last week to the Barclays Center to camp, and I actually got to meet the brother for the first time in the flesh. And you know, brother has a good spirit, man. He's the same in person that he is on the internet, which is a good thing, and it's also rare. But we're not going to talk about that. And last but not least, of course, shout out to everybody that's listening to us on Clubhouse. The link is at the top of the room if you guys want to come over and watch the PowerPoint. Today's lesson is going to be probably slightly abbreviated. I don't think I'm going to go the whole 2 hours just because I have to get into New York to get to camp on time, and I think traffic is really bad today. So I want to give myself a little bit of a cushion to get inside the city before it gets worse. So I probably will not do the whole 2 hours, but that's okay. We're going to make understanding understood in the time that we're together. So I got the Elder Zahab on the line as well. So if he wants to say anything before we get started, he can go ahead and say something real quick. Now, I know he was caught up doing something, so he might not be able to say anything, and that's okay as well. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get started without further ado. So today, guys, is nothing that I'm doing that's new. I just felt compelled to sometimes go back to the basics, right? I do that a lot more in the academy than I do for Sabbath class, but I just felt the need to go back to the basics. And one of the reasons why I felt compelled to go back to the basics is because the basics are what brought a lot of us into the truth. That's why we're here today. That's why we convene here every Saturday. That's why we convene on Clubhouse pretty much every day. It was the basics, the milk of the scriptures that, you know, reminded us who we were as a people. And it's what attracted us to this truth. So one of the things that I've noticed that's been happening over the past few years, specifically with Christian apologists, but also with the so-called conscious community, and also with people that are atheists, it doesn't really matter. They all have the same tactic, and their tactic is to attack the basics, the very premise or the foundation upon which we stand, the basic things that we believe. One of the basic scriptures that we believe and we understand shows through prophecy that we are the Israelites is Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I've noticed over the years, there's so many videos on YouTube with Christians trying to quote unquote debunk our understanding of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now, in the academy, I went through Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 70 AD because there is a teaching among Christian apologists and specifically preterists, but Christians in general, that Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 cannot be talking about our people today because it was fulfilled in 70 AD. So in the academy, we went through that lesson and we looked at something in prophecy called sequence. There's a sequence of things that has to happen. And if you as a Christian apologist will pull out something in history that may seem at first glance similar, but actually is sequentially out of order, then you failed. So that's a failure. Maybe one day I'll do that class for the Sabbath. I think it's a little more intricate. And sometimes I do my classes like 10 o'clock in the morning every week. So I know sometimes some of you guys, especially in other time zones, y'all are still like half asleep. You just rolled over. You still got some cold in your eyes. So for me to go into something that's intricate, it may be a little too early for some of y'all, but who knows, one day, maybe I'll do that, for the second hour of the Sabbath class or something. I'll decide. All right. So that's one argument that they use against us, is that Deuteronomy 28 was fulfilled in 70 AD, which we can debunk easily. Right. But we're going to go into the basics today. We're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 28 and just revisit some of the basic things that brought us into the truth. Right. So this is a two-part PowerPoint. So you guys are looking at part one. We're not going to do all of part one, just a couple of slides. And then we're going to jump right over into part number two. So Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 15, which is the promises. A lot of times when we read Deuteronomy 28, we just jump right to 15 and start reading the curses. But Deuteronomy 28 is actually promises or blessings and curses. It's both. We're going to start off in Jeremiah chapter 16, verses 10 through 13. It says, "And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt show this people all these words." How do you show our people these words? That means you have to be teaching. You can't show people the words unless you're teaching. I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to always say it. If you're in this truth for a certain amount of time, and you have just been a professional student in that time, you're a failure in this truth. And you better pray that when Yahweh Shai come, he doesn't take the talents that he gave you because you sat on them. Remember that parable in the New Testament about talents, right? Most High gives you, all brothers and sisters, but I'm talking to the brothers mainly, certain gifts and talents that you're supposed to utilize. And it's for the building of the body. I'm not talented everywhere. I can, myself and Elder Zahab and other elders, we can do a lot of things. And in this truth, as an elder, you're going to wear a lot of hats. But just because I wear a lot of hats doesn't necessarily mean that I'm good at every hat I'm wearing or every hat looks good on me. You got what I'm saying? Somebody else could come and take that hat and it will look better on you. But because nobody's wearing that hat, we have to wear it. If you get my analogy, it's the same thing. Some brothers have talents, and the Most High gave you certain things and certain gifts, and you don't exercise them in this truth. You sit on them because you're comfortable being a professional student. You're comfortable just coming every Saturday and listening to me teach and watching the classes and watching the PowerPoints, and it's cool, but you're not doing anything. That's not what the scriptures show us. The Most High told Jeremiah, it shall come to pass when thou shalt show this people all their transgressions. You got to actually be teaching the people. That's the point. And they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? So when you're teaching the people are going to have questions about what it is you're teaching. Why are these things happening to us? Why are we in the conditions that we are in? And it seems to get perpetually worse every day. Now that we have Orange 47 as president again, it seems like all the, I'm holding up air quotes, all the progress that we as a people had made in America, quote unquote, it seems like they're turning the clock back with all that stuff, right? It seems like they're turning the clock back with all those things. And white people specifically are becoming more and more emboldened in their hatred or their racism towards our people, which is a good thing. A lot of our people don't think it's a good thing, but it is a good thing. You want to know who your enemies are. I would know who my enemy. That's the whole reason why the Ku Klux Klan rides around with masks on their face, because they don't want you to know who they are. They want to hide from you. The same dude that's wearing a Klan mask on a daggone Saturday, burning a cross, right, is the same guy that on Monday, when you come in to work, he's going to shake your hand and be like, hey, John, how was your weekend? How's the family? How's the children? Right? So they want that anonymity. I don't respect it. I like my racists openly racist, if you can understand. So as we see things starting to turn back to the way that we read about in history books when people were going through these things in the 60s and the 50s, so forth and so on, as you see that racism start to come out of these people, right? As you see more and more Black people in racial events, right? Now that we're in the midst of a Karen epidemic. Like you be on every other damn video that I'm scrolling on TikTok or Instagram has some type of Karen thing going on where either a Black man or a Black woman is being confronted by a racist white person. It could be in Walmart. You could be sitting down on the steps of your house. You could be walking into your home in a neighborhood after you done bought the house and they're coming up behind you and calling the police. And you know what I'm saying? All types of stuff going on. We're seeing it more and more and more. It's getting worse, not better. We're not even going to talk about the financial condition of our people. We're not even going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the amount of Black people that are still dying at the hands of these other nations and the amount of us that's being killed by each other. It seems to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Why is that? Our people are going to ask us, why is that? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God? And it's sad that our people would ask us that, because one thing we have in the hood, if we don't have anything else, we got chicken spots, we got liquor stores, and we got churches. There's a church on every other corner with a liquor store and a goodness gracious chicken spot. So Negroes know about God. Your grandmama was telling you about God since you was a child. So it's a shame that you would have to ask what your sin is. And the reason why you have to ask what your sin is because that Bible that's collecting dust on your bookshelf, you never read it. Why'd you never read it? Because you allowed the white man and ignorant Black people that call themselves conscious to tell you that the Bible is the white man's book. Verse 11, it says, then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me. So we can see our forefathers, whether we acknowledge them as our forefathers or not, we can see that our forefathers and foremothers in ancient times forsook the Most High and went into idolatry. From the beginning, all the way back in the wilderness, and it really has never stopped. Saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods and served them, and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and not kept my laws. And now even the ones that call themselves acknowledging God's, like, quote unquote Christians, even they have not kept God's laws. Why? Because they teach that God's laws are done away with. God's laws are done away with. Verse 12, and ye have done worse than your fathers. One of the reasons why our people have done worse or are worse than our forefathers is or were is because our forefathers, when they sinned, they didn't really sin, and understand what I'm saying, they didn't really sin in ignorance of who they were. When our forefathers sinned, they sinned because they had a hard heart. They had a heart of stone. It wasn't because there was an ignorance of who they were. We today, our people, not necessarily us that's in the truth, but our people, we sin today because we have a stony heart and because we also don't know who we are. So it's like a double whammy. So having a stony heart and not knowing who you are, your actions will be worse. And our people are worse than ever before. And more separated from God than ever before. I'm seeing and coming across on social media, especially on my TikTok account, I'm coming across more Black atheists than ever. Like, atheism is big in the Black community, so-called Black and Latino community. Even, I want to say 15 years ago, it wasn't so. But as YouTube became more popular, Instagram became more popular, now TikTok becomes more popular, videos of people that push that whole atheist agenda, let's call names like Sonetta, and all the guys that he has on his channel, the whole cast of F Troop, right? I call them F Troop. That's a old show of a squadron in the army that was just like a bunch of bumbling idiots, right? And that's what a lot of them dudes, I ain't calling Sonetta that, but them dudes that be on his channel is a bunch of idiots. Shaka's an idiot. Reggie is a cool person, but intellectually, as far as his information is, he's an idiot. But these things circulate on social media and spread. And because Black people are so disconnected from who they are, disconnected from their God, disconnected from their mores, their folk ways, their customs, they think that that stuff is true without doing any research. And then we're left to come behind and clean up the mess. Verse 13, therefore, will I cast you, verse 12 again, and ye have done worse than your fathers, for behold, ye walk everyone after the imagination of his evil heart. So everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. My opinion is my opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. You can't tell me nothing. I can't tell you nothing. That they may not hearken unto me. Now, people don't hearken unto the Most High. Verse 13, therefore, will I cast you out of this land into a land ye know not. That happened many times. So during Jeremiah's time, that happened when the Most High raised up Nebuchadnezzar, right? And you see that happen perpetually throughout our history. It happened during the time when the Romans came in. We were scattered into all nations. Christ prophesied that in Luke chapter 21. And to this day, 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1, to the strangers which are scattered abroad, we're scattered everywhere. All because we didn't keep God's laws. Let's move on. This is Exodus chapter 24, verses 7 and 8. We made an agreement with the Most High. It says, and he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has said, we will do, and we will be obedient. So when you look up this word for covenant, it's the Hebrew word bar-yath, or as they have transliterated right here in English, the word Brit. And yes, brothers and sisters, this is where you get the term British from. When you read about the British, that was us when we were ruling. It was us, the British, versus the English, which was the white man. That was Oliver Cromwell and his crew. That cast the characters. It was us against them. That's where that word British comes from. It comes from the Hebrew word bar-yath, which means covenant. But that's a whole nother history lesson, right? So a covenant is an alliance. We made an alliance with the Most High, right? That's what it means. That's what it means when it says the Most High, we had to be reconciled back to the Father, right? We were in agreement, we were in alliance, and then there was a separation. A covenant also means a pledge, meaning we made a promise right here. Here's the promise right here. And they said, all that the Lord has said, we do. And that the Lord said, will we do, and be obedient. We made a pledge. And we all know how the story went. We broke it. And there were several covenants that you can read about in the Bible. You have the Noahide covenant. You can read about that in Genesis 8, verses 20 to 22. You have the Old Covenant, which we just read about in Exodus chapter 24, verses 4 through 8. You had the New Covenant, which is you can read about in Matthew 26, 27, and 28. And even marriage is a covenant or an agreement or a pledge. You can read about that in Deuteronomy 22, 13 through 19. And the root word in covenant is the word cut. You guys can see that right here. It means cutting, which signifies bloodshed. So to enter into a covenant, there has to be bloodshed. And you see bloodshed in these covenants here. Okay. Let's look at Job chapter 8, verse 8. It says, "For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers." So we're supposed to inquire about the former things and search things out. Find out what our forefathers did right. Find out what they did wrong. And make the adjustment accordingly. That's what we're supposed to do as a people. We, as the awakening Israelites, that is what we're doing. But on a whole, our people are not doing that. They don't care. They're allowing the education system and they're allowing media to tell us that our history is not important. That was the past. Focus on the future. Well, if you don't know your past, then more likely than not, you're going to repeat your past in your future. That's what's going to happen. No other community is told to forget their past but us. Think about it. This is Deuteronomy 32, verse 7. It says, "Remember the days of old." So the Bible says otherwise than forgetting the past. It says, "Remember the days of old, and consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee." Some of us, because of the curses that we're under, some of us don't have or didn't have our fathers or our grandfathers to ask about your immediate family history. You didn't have that. Some of you had it, some of you didn't have it. Some of you had access to your grandmother and your mother and your great-grandmother and so forth and so on to ask questions about your family history. But many of us haven't. Have you guys ever wondered why it is that it's so popular amongst our people, more so than anybody else? It's so popular amongst our people to take these ancestry tests, to take these DNA tests in order to find out their ancestry, who they are. I'm not saying other races don't take it, but you don't see people taking it to the extent that we're taking it, because our history was taken from us. And if you ask the average person how those DNA tests work, they can't tell you. They can't tell you. Really quickly, and just deviating, there's three types of DNA tests mainly. There's something called an autosomal DNA test. There's something called an MT DNA test. And there's something called a Y DNA test. So if you guys ever watch Maury Povich, who made millions of dollars off mainly our people trying to show paternity, those people were taking Y DNA tests. Y DNA test is how you test your father. It goes to your paternal line. There's another show that comes on now called Paternity Court. They're taking Y DNA tests. So if you want to find out about your patrilineal line, which is how you determine your nationality according to the Bible, you take a Y DNA test. Then you have something called an MT DNA test, which is short for mitochondrial DNA test. That's how you trace your maternal line. And all these different companies don't offer the same tests. So the first thing you need to know is you need to know what test you're taking and what does it do. Then the second thing you need to know is that these DNA tests are only as good as the samples in their database. So that's why your results, if you take one, I don't know, this year, and if you were to take one in 5 years, your results would be drastically different in 5 years because more people will have taken the test, so your results are going to change. And they don't take into account migration patterns. For instance, Priest Danyaahla, my family's from Jamaica, right? But I'm born here. I'm born here, right? My seed is born here, right? So now that's a migration. My family immigrated or migrated from one country to another. That changes things. That changes things. So if my great-great-great-grandson was to do a quote-unquote DNA test and go back 4 generations, that would still lead to his family being here. Because he didn't go back far enough where the actual migration took place. So those tests don't take into account migration patterns. A lot to be desired with that. That's the reason why the Bible says, remember the days of old and consider the years of many generations. Ask your father. You're supposed to have a conversation with your fathers. And the Most High provided our records of our fathers, which is the Bible. So we consult that. Hopefully everybody understands. I didn't spend too much time talking about that. Let's move on. I want you guys to see this. This is a curse right here. Check this out.
It's time now for our Equity and Opportunity series, and Frank Holland joins us this morning with a closer look at the growth in Black spending power. Frank.
Hey, good morning to you, Andrew. Black spending power reached a record $1.6 trillion in 2021. The ability to buy, save, and invest more than doubling since 2000. That growth exceeding the full U.S. economy, but actually lagging other ethnic groups. Latinos with a 288% increase, Asians with a 388% increase in spending power. However, other groups, they've also seen an increase in their net worth. Black Americans instead have seen their wealth actually fall by 14%.
So I want everybody to look at that. So we have all this spending power, right? But when it comes to your net worth, I'm talking about as a collective, -2%. -2%. This is in 2021, he said, -2%. Excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong thing. -14%, my bad. I'm looking at the overall. -14%. That's a curse. Let's move on.
It's time.
This is the book of Job, chapter 33, verses 14. It says, for God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. Once, yea, twice. The way the Bible works, there's something called dual fulfillment. When you look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, the Most High speaks about the blessings in the first 14 verses and the curses from verse 15 to verse 68. Those curses are secular. Secular means they go in a circle. They're perpetual, meaning it wasn't written where it's going to happen to you one time. No, it never says that. It says these are the things that are going to happen to you if you don't keep the commandments. So in every case, from the time that we were under the Assyrians, some of those curses hit us. Maybe not all, but some of them. Then when the Babylonians came in, some of those curses hit us, maybe even more than the first time. Then when the Medes and the Persians come in, some more of those curses hit us again. Right? Then when the Greeks come in, some more of those curses hit us again. For example, let's use the Greeks for an example. When we were in captivity under the Greeks got a hold of our temple, desecrated the temple, sacrificed swine's flesh on a daggone altar, and all of that. Guess what happened? A couple of 100 years later, you have a Roman general by the name of Pompey that comes in and desecrates the temple again around 63 BC. Guess what happened again? All the way down the road, you have Vespasian and Titus that come in and desecrate the temple again. It was happening again and again and again and again. It's cyclical. Everybody understand? We have never made the claim that Deuteronomy 28, verse 68 is only covering chattel slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. We never said that. But absolutely, we can see those curses hitting our people on this side of the world the same way it hit the ancient Israelites. You could see it on our people, which is a sign that we are those people. Hopefully everybody understands. Let's move on. Speaking of Job, this is from a book I have called The Catacombs by James Stevenson. You guys can get this book on Amazon. And on page 77, in the catacombs, for those of you guys that don't know what the catacombs are, when the Romans were persecuting the followers of Yahushua, they built underground places to have meetings, underground places to bury their dead, and so forth and so on, because they couldn't openly practice their customs. So they built these catacombs under the city. And one of the things they did in these catacombs was they put these images on the wall of the prophets. And this is from one of the catacombs. This is Job. This is in this book. You guys get this book off Amazon. It doesn't cost much. And this is the image of Job. You could just look at the hands. Look at the afro. It's clear. It's a black man, right? And you guys can see this, my little thumb right there in the corner. You guys can see this is the page before it. And right next to it, I know it's small. Right there, if you were looking at this on a computer, you could see it. If you're looking on the phone, you may not be able to see it, but right there, that says Job. And this is in the catacomb of Danyaahla, right? This just a little aside for you guys, right? There it is. I have it a little better, right? You guys can see the arrows. Here it says Job. It's page 76, right? It says Job, figure number 53. See right there, it says Job. This is him right here, okay? Enough of that. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1. It says, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. The reason why I'm starting in chapter 1 is we want to get the full context of who the audience is. Because it doesn't necessarily mention Israel at the beginning of every chapter. So now we have the full context of Deuteronomy, who the intended audience is. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side, Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel and Laban and Hazeroth and Dizahab. Now, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 now that we have the context. Let's start from verse number 1. It says, and it shall come to pass, if thou, who's the thou? The Israelites, we just read it in chapter 1, shall hearken diligently. Hearken diligently means completely. Not just the commandments you want to keep. Hearken diligently means completely. Unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Where's the voice of the Lord thy God found? It's the words in the Bible. To observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So there's no equality with the Most High. The most people say, well, God said he's no respect of persons, right? But the Most High does have respect of nations. This is clear. And the nation the Most High has respect to is the Israelites. It also tells you this in Exodus chapter 11 as well. Let's get a second witness. Deuteronomy 7, verses 6 and 7. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So now, what I want to show you is something really quickly. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse number 2. It says, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou wilt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. What blessings would come on thee and overtake thee? The Most High would set us above all nations. If we did this, if we kept his commandments, this blessing would come upon us and it would overtake us. The first incarnation of this was Solomon. Let's read it. 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 21. And Solomon reigned what? Over all kingdoms, from the river unto the land of the Philistines and unto the border of Egypt. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. Now, this is very, very important because this is going to be fulfilled again in Isaiah chapter 60, where the nations are going to bring us what? Their riches and their forces. They're going to bring it to us just like they did Solomon. So the first time the Most High showed favor to Israel and put us above the nations and had the nations serve us and listen to us and all that was Solomon. Didn't mean it was the only time it was going to happen, but that was one of the first times it happened because it also, the blessings are also cyclical as well. Does everybody understand? We're not going to read all this right now for the sake of time, but when I do get to teaching my lesson, the kingdom of Solomon was a preview of the kingdom of heaven. We're going to go over all this because Solomon's kingdom was a preview of the kingdom of heaven. Let's move on. This is the book of Sirach 47, verse 13. Now, if you are in the academy, you guys know all about this. If you're not, I think I mentioned this before, but it's okay. You can learn it now. The name Solomon is what they call an omen nomer, or a name sign or a name prophecy. Did you guys know that? It's a name sign or a name prophecy. That is when somebody's name is a prophecy of their destiny or what they're going to do. Remember, Jacob was named Jacob at birth. The word Jacob means what? To supplant. Jacob did not supplant Esau at birth. Jacob supplanted Esau when they were grown, but he was given that name at birth. Does everybody understand? Remember, Rebecca went to find out why the children were struggling within her. Remember that? So they told her something. They told her how it was going to go down. And so when she named the baby based on what the seer told her was going to happen with that baby, Jacob. He's going to supplant his brother. That's a name sign. Well, Solomon has a name sign too. This is the book of Sirach 47, verse 13. It says, Solomon reigned in a peaceable time. Solomon reigned in a peaceable time and was honored, for God made all quiet round about him, that he might build a house in his name and prepare his sanctuary forever. So Solomon reigned in a peaceable time, and brothers and sisters, the name Solomon literally means peaceable. David named his son peaceable because during his time, Israel would have peace. That's called a name sign or name prophecy. There's lots of them in the Bible. Yahweh Shai has a name prophecy. Deliverer. He was named, the angel said, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sin. Shall meaning in the future, but we're going to name the baby that from his birth. It's called a name prophecy. All right? All right. Now, Deuteronomy 28 starts off with blessings, not curses. But the blessings are linked to obedience. The blessings are linked to obedience. Understand that, right? Let's look at Judith chapter 5. Judith chapter 5. And we're going to pick it up from verse number 12. It says, Then they cried unto their God, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues. So the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. And God dried the Red Sea before them, and he brought them to Mount Sinai and Kadesh Barn, and cast forth all that dwell in the wilderness. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by their strength all of them of Esabon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. And they cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, the Shechemite, the Girgasites, and they dwelled in that country many days. Here it comes. It's the important part right here. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered. Whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered. Let me go ahead and let me highlight that for next time, right? We build it while we fly. Y'all know that, right? Let's go back. Because that God hateth iniquity was with them. So the blessings were linked to obedience. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore. And what? And were led captive into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by their enemies. So the blessings are linked to obedience, and the curses are linked to disobedience. It's always been this way, and it's been cyclical. But now, are they returned to their God, as we're doing right now, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, which we're doing right now, and have possessed Jerusalem, where the sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Let's highlight that as well. Let's highlight that as well. It is our ruin when we don't follow the commandments. So when you look at the state of our people right now, the reason why we're in the condition we're in, we don't follow the commandments. So this is cyclical. The nations know this. It was never just a one-time thing. What makes it different now is because these people back here, they knew who they were. So the curses were just a matter or a sign that they broke God's laws. Now the curses are a sign that we broke God's laws, but we also use it as a sign of we being God's people, because those curses were specifically prescribed against a specific people. All right. So we're going to switch gears right now, and we're going to jump over to the curses. I think you guys understand. So let's move over to the curses real quick. So as I mentioned, the curses are cyclical. Let's read Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 27. When we do right, we get blessed. When we did wrong, we were cursed. The book of Judges is a perfect example of this. Nehemiah 9:27. Therefore, thou deliverest them into the hand of their enemies who vexed them. And in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven, and according to thy manifold mercies, thou gavest them saviors who saved them out of the hands of their enemies. So when we repented, in the midst of the Most High over and over bringing the curses on our people, when we repented and changed our ways, the Most High would raise up one of the judges in the book of Judges to deliver us from our enemies. And then we would be blessed until we messed around, and then the Most High brought them curses right back. They were cyclical. When you look at the transatlantic slave trade, when you look at the plantations and the tobacco fields and the cotton fields and all the manual labor that we were doing, right? And when you look at the South in general, when we say that we built this country, we really built this country, because all those giant plantations in the South that the slaves were on, them houses were built by our people. The white man was the one that would be the architect, so he would draw up the blueprint of what he wanted his house to look like, but they weren't the ones doing the hard labor. We were. And we all know everything else that took place in slavery. They took our women. They took our daughters. They would even lay with the little boys. They were doing all types of things, right? All types of abominations and atrocities. So our people were taught in the churches that, hey, that happened to you because you're cursed. You're cursed. So that was supposed to happen to your peoples. There's something called the curse of Noah, which is something that's fake. It doesn't even exist. Because when you go back and you read, it never says Noah was cursed. It never says Ham was cursed. It says Canaan was cursed, and his curse was to be a servant. Canaan was cursed to be a servant. So this is a book called Noah's Curse, the biblical justification of American slavery. So you have this white man, Stephen A.R. Haynes, who wrote a book and took Bible verses out of context to justify slavery. Let's look at Genesis 9:25 real quick. And he said, "Cursed be Canaan." What was the curse? "A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren." So the curse was on one of Ham's sons, not even all of them, one of Ham's sons whose name was Canaan, and he was cursed to be a servant. So the whole idea that this happened to us because we're black, and this is the curse of Ham, is nonsense. But a lot of our people believe it. Why? Because they don't study. Their access or exposure to information is TikTok. You know, a little 1 or 2 minute video with somebody talking fast. That's their exposure to information. Like, nobody goes to libraries anymore. Why read books when you can go to TikTok and learn everything? It's crazy. Let's move on. Our slavery was to do our sins, and we are not Canaanites. I should have said our slavery was about. That's what I get for typing fast. Our slavery was about our sins. And no, we're not Canaanites, guys, as we know, right? First, let's look at this excerpt from Zondavern's Bible Dictionary. You guys already know this. It says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So the Negroes are not even descendants of Ham, who one of his sons, Canaan, was cursed. We're not even descended from Ham. So then why did our people go into captivity the way that they went into captivity? Why did they serve the way that they served? And why are we still to this day found in the hand or the land of our enemies? Lamentations 5 verse 7 can explain that. It says, our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. One of the reasons why we are in the position that we're in is because our forefathers, if you want to go back all the way to biblical times and work your way up, transgressed against the Most High. And as we read in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, we're even worse than our forefathers were, which is why we remain in captivity. It has nothing to do with your complexion or bad luck at all whatsoever. Now, let's also take a look at, from Zondavern's Bible Dictionary, the definition for ruddy. Because the Negroes are not Hamites. So who are we? Well, we're Hebrews. This is the definition for ruddy in the Zondavern's Compact Bible Dictionary. It says a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, listen, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. Dark skin of the Hebrews. And it gives you an example of some Hebrews being dark skinned in the Bible. We're going to take a look at one of them. This is 1 Samuel 16 and 12. Let's take a look. Well, first, I wanted to show you guys something. Before we do that, I want to show you guys something. We got to take it all the way back to kindergarten. This is the many shades of brown. And there's more than this. They say that there's about 300 different shades of brown. These are some examples of colors that all fall into the brown family. And that's important. I'm going to show you guys something. Let's take a look at 1 Samuel 16 and 12 in the NLT, which is the New Living Translation. We're going to do some comparative text. It says, so Jesse, which is the father of David, sent for him, talking about David. He was what? Dark and handsome. Your KJV says ruddy. But the NLT translator said, nah, that word ruddy doesn't necessarily fit. What would better fit, describing King David, who was a Hebrew, was he was dark and handsome. This is somebody that's not, I repeat, not a, y'all give me 1 second. 1 second, y'all. I really apologize. Give me 1 second. My apologies. Okay. Yeah, something was going on with the computer. Here we go. All right. Oops, where am I at? Slideshow, yeah. So David is a Hebrew, not a Hamite. And he's described as dark and handsome. So this whole idea that all black people are Hamites and we're all cursed is nonsense. It's not even a thing when you study. Let's take a look at another translation. Let's take a look. This is the ISV, the International Standard Version. This is 1 Samuel 16, verse 12. It says, so he went and brought him, and he had a dark, healthy complexion. A dark, healthy complexion. This is King David. This is King David, a Hebrew, not a Hamite. So this whole idea that we can't be, it just told you in the Bible dictionary, let's go back. It just told you in the Bible dictionary, the Negroes are not Hamites. We're not. We're dark, just like the Hamites are, but we are from another person, which is Shem. And from Shem comes Eber. And from Eber comes Abraham, so forth and so on, all the way down to Israel. So the ISV describes him as being dark and of a healthy complexion. When you come to the New Heart English Bible, it describes him as being reddish brown. Reddish brown. That's why I have the color palette here, guys. All these colors and more would fall into the family of brown. But when you look at American brown right here, for instance, it almost has like a reddish color to it, doesn't it? When you look at burnt umber has a almost reddish color to it, but it's in the brown family. When you look at chestnut has a reddish brown color to it, but guess what? It's in the brown family. If you look at antique brass, this is the complexion that a lot of our lighter skinned so-called blacks and Hispanics are, a lot of Latinos, a lot of Dominicans, a lot of Puerto Ricans. They come in this color like antique brass or caramel. But I'm focusing on antique brass. It has like almost a light reddish yellow color to it, but it's in the brown family. If you look at smoky umber down here, reddish brown, but it's in the brown family. These people know that the people that call themselves Jews today are not the people, man. They're not. They know that. That's why they're working so hard to dissuade you from believing that you're an Israelite. So they have to start with the basics like Deuteronomy chapter 28, because they want to be able to put you under the umbrella of being a Hamite. But you're not Hamites. You're the Israelites. You're the Hebrews. Let's jump down to verse 45 of Deuteronomy chapter 28 for the sake of time. Verse 45, it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. This is why I was telling you guys earlier that the curses are cyclical. These curses pursued us in every captivity that we've been in. Not every single curse in every single captivity, but many of them pursued us in every captivity we've been in. And overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and the statutes, which he commanded thee. Verse 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign. That's the point. All throughout antiquity and history, when the curses came down on us, they were a sign that the Most High was angry with us. That was the sign. But in this day and time, because Israel has been scattered into all nations, and we've been dispersed, and we've been destroyed, and we've discontinued from our heritage and our culture and our customs and our mores and our folkways, because we've done all those things, now the curses are a sign that God is angry with us, but it's also a sign of who the people are. Because you have a lot of people all over the world claiming to be the people. You have the small hats over in Israel claiming to be the people. You have a group of white people in Europe that go under this philosophy or this doctrine called British Israelism, where they say that white people are the children of Israel. And you have other people all over the place, and you have us. So now, how do you differentiate the claim? Is it through DNA testing? No, it is not. Don't let the stupid conscious community fool you. There's no such thing as a Jewish haplogroup. No such thing. In order for you to have a quote-unquote Jewish haplogroup, you'd have to be able to find the body and locate the body of Jacob and his 12 sons, and then test everybody who's making a claim of being a Jew against them. The problem you're going to have is that we didn't mummify bodies. We didn't preserve bodies. The only people in that region that was mummifying and preserving their dead was the Egyptians, nobody else. Not the Canaanites, not the Jebusites, not the Girgashites, not the Cushites, nobody. So there's no Jewish haplogroup. So then how do you differentiate who are the people? It's through the curses. The curses are a sign. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. And this word forever means for an age or for a time. Does everybody understand that? This word forever means for an age or for a time. When you read in the book of Daniel chapter 7, where it says the saints shall take the kingdom and they shall rule in the kingdom forever, even forever and ever, that means forever, ever, like Andre 3000 said. It's two different Hebrew words. We'll get into that maybe another time, not today. Let's move on. This is verse 58 and 59. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues of a long continuance, and sore sickness of long continuous. So these plagues are not just talking about just being whipped and put into slavery, but even some of the ailments that we suffer from, some of the sicknesses that we suffer from. And we know that our people, statistically speaking, are at the forefront of a lot of that stuff. The Most High makes it that way because we sinned. Does everybody understand that? Let's look at some of the statistics. This is from the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and this was taken in 2024. And I want you guys to see the 10 leading causes amongst foundational Black Americans, mostly, as of 2020, that's killing our people. Number one is heart disease. Number two is malignant neoplasms. In other words, that's cancer. And in 2020, number three is COVID. After that, you have cerebral vascular diseases, which is strokes, diabetes, chronic respiratory illnesses, which is like your asthmas and your bronchitis and stuff like that. You have Alzheimer's, and you have kidney diseases. You guys will notice that I skipped two. The only two on this list that are not related to your health is this one, which is assault or homicide, and this one is unintentional accidents. 8 out of 10 of the things that are killing us the most revolves around your health. And these are things that the Most High gave us that are fixable. But because we're under the curses, we've been separated from everything, including the knowledge of our bodies, the knowledge of plants. Remember, the Bible tells us in Wisdom of Solomon that Solomon had the knowledge of plants, and he knew the virtue of roots. He knew that stuff. Even your conventional medicine that you get from the pharmacies that your doctor prescribes you at the base of those medicines is plants and roots. The majority of them. Because they were created for healing. So we don't know these things, but Esau does. So here's what Esau does. Esau goes down to the islands and buys the natives out. They go down to Jamaica. They go down to Puerto Rico. They go down to the Dominican Republic. They go down to Haiti, and they take over. They buy all the farmland. They buy all the beaches and tell the locals, you can't go to the beach on your own island. No, you can't go. And this is not just happening in Jamaica. This is happening in Puerto Rico. A lot of Puerto Ricans cannot go to the beaches on your own island. A lot of Haitians cannot go to the beaches on your own islands. They buy out all the farm, right? And they come and they pick all the roots, all the plants, all that stuff is grown in the Caribbean. They bring it back to America, break it down, process it, put it in capsules, right? And maybe 10, 15% of the capsule that you buy from GNC, talking about you buying some herbs from GNC or the vitamin shop, maybe 10, 15% of the stuff that's in that capsule actually is the actual herb, and the rest of it is trash. And that's only for the people that actually know to go and buy these things. What about the majority of our people that look down on natural medicine because they've been taught that it's some type of root work, which is crazy, because if you say dealing with herbs is root work, you're saying Solomon was dealing with root work, and the Bible says Solomon understood it, and David also spoke about the virtues of plants too. Anyway, I don't want to get too far down into that. Give me 1 second, y'all. So back to this slide real quick. When you look at this word for plagues, it's the word Makkah, right? So Makkah means blow or stripe, like, you know what I'm saying? Being wounded, nations coming and destroying you, beating you, scourging you, whipping you, wound, slaughter, defeat, but also plagues as in sicknesses as well. All those things are the things that the Most High brought down upon us, all of it. That's why it says here in verse 69, sicknesses of long continuous, and we can see 8 out of 10. The Bible don't lie. The Bible doesn't lie. And then also, let me say this, not to prolong the point, but I was in the Bronx yesterday. Now, you know, I done moved out of New York, and I don't really go to the Bronx like that much no more, except if it's to do the work or something like that. But I went to the Bronx yesterday, and I'm driving around. And, you know, when you're living in the midst of this thing, and New York is its own unique, you know, circumstance. Like, I've been a lot of places, but New York is just its own unique circumstance. The way it's built, the way it's constructed. And you're going through the areas of the South Bronx, like around 179th and places like that. And I'm looking around at the food choices that our people have to eat. And the inner cities in New York City, especially, not even in the outer places like Long Island, not even upstate like Westchester so much. It's that way too, but especially in the inner cities like the South Bronx, Upper Manhattan, like Spanish Harlem, certain parts of Brooklyn, right? It's a food desert. Let's look up what that is. Let's look up what that is. Maybe some of you guys are not familiar with that. It is a food desert. I don't know if Google will give me the right definition, but let's look and see if it gives it the right definition. Food deserts, brothers and sisters, are areas where people have limited access to healthy and affordable foods. Right on point, right to the point. They have limited access to healthy and affordable foods. The South Bronx is a food desert. So it makes sense that our people will be suffering from a lot of these ailments, which a lot of them are related to what you eat, what you consume. And when you live in a food desert, because you have a low income and they also don't offer you in your neighborhood healthy choices, one thing is going to lead to another. It makes perfect sense. This is a curse. You'll have Negroes that will live in the midst of a food desert and tell you that they're not cursed. I don't know why y'all say our people are cursed. I ain't cursed. If you live over on 179th Street in the Bronx, you cursed. Look at the neighborhoods. Look at the stores. Every 2 feet, there's dog crap on the sidewalk. I got to walk in the street because I can't walk on the sidewalk because every 2 feet, not exaggerating, not hyperbole, is dog crap everywhere. Anyway, I don't want to prolong this too long because I could go on all day about that. It's crazy. This is published in December 11th, 2023. Leading causes of death amongst Black U.S. residents in 2020. The leading causes of death among Black residents in the United States in 2020 included diseases of the heart, cancer, stroke, unintentional injuries, so forth and so on. It's saying the same thing. It's ridiculous. And as I mentioned before, the reason why it's a curse is because the Bible tells you what you should be doing, but because we take the Bible and we cast it aside, we don't know that the Bible is telling us we're supposed to consult that which comes from the ground. Because you were formed from the ground. It's Genesis 2:7, which is literal and it's also figurative. The figurative thing, when the Most High said he formed man from the dust of the ground, most of the elements found in the human body are found in the ground. So most of the minerals in your body that need to be replaced come from the ground, which are in these herbs and in these plants. That's the point. This is Psalms 104, verse 14. It says, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, which is herbs, and herbs for the service of man. And herbs for the service of man. That's the point. That he may bring forth food out of the earth. The foods that come out of the earth are the best foods for you. The Jamaicans call it ground food. It's the best food for you. Let's look at wisdom in Solomon chapter 7. God hath granted me to speak as I would, to conceive as is meet for the things that are given me, because it is he that leadeth unto wisdom and directeth the wise. For in his hand are both we and our words, or wisdom also, and knowledge of workmanship. For he hath given me certain knowledge of things that are, namely to know how the world was made, and the operation of the elements, the beginning, ending, and midst of the times, the alteration of the turning of the sun, and the change of seasons, the circuits of years, the positions of stars, the nature of living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds and the reasonings of men, the diversities of plants and the virtues of roots. The roots are that which comes from the ground. So the stuff that comes from the ground is what can heal you. That's the point. That's what's at the base of your medicines that you take for your blood pressure and your this and your that. At the base of that stuff is plants. And Esau grows here, or he goes to other countries and robs them and brings it back here and makes millions of dollars off of it through the pharmaceutical industry. And you'll go and you'll spend $80, $90, $100, whatever you have to spend if you don't have a co-payment for that, but will not take up some daggone herbs, will not do a flush, will not do a cleanse, will not do anything. I'm talking about Israelites. And we've been banging people in the head about this for years. And the reason why a lot of our people don't want to do it is because we're under the curses. That's why. You worried about if it's going to make you go to the bathroom. You worried about if it's bitter. And you worried about the wrong thing. But I'm going to leave that there. Let's move on. There's something called an apothecary. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. An apothecary would be your modern day pharmacist, right? So when we look at apothecary, King James Bible Dictionary, right? An apothecary would be a compounder of drugs or plants. That will be your modern day pharmacist today. Down here, Webster's 1828, apothecary, one who practices pharmacy. Your pharmacist is an apothecary. That's what he is, or she. But they're giving you watered down things that work in the short term, but they have a lot of side effects. Whereas the actual roots and the plants, they work slower, but they don't have the same side effects. And if you make it a habit of taking these things, the less likely you are to come down with those 10 things that we just saw. That's the number one killers of our people. These curses that the Most High is bringing down on our people as a whole for breaking God's laws. Another thing, right? A lot of our women, unfortunately, sadly, a lot of our women right here in the middle, they have the highest infant mortality rate. Highest rate of low birth weight, the highest rate of complications during pregnancy, the highest rate of infections during prenatal period, the highest. All these things are curses, man. It's not because we're black. It's because we don't do right. We're disconnected from everything that's possible for us. All we want to do as a people is be on social media and be on Instagram and Facebook and all the stuff like that and TikTok and make buffoons out of ourselves and be nosy and be in everybody else's business and have an opinion about everybody else's business. And all we care about is clicks and likes and views and clout, and nobody cares about information. We're the most imprisoned. Look at that. Now, we know the justice system is all messed up and we're prosecuted at a higher rate and we're convicted at a higher rate on purpose. We understand that. But if we hadn't broke God's laws, the Most High wouldn't have put a nation over us that would do that to us. And if you look, the highest rate of our men that are in prison, right, is at the most productive ages when our men should be out here building themselves up financially, etc., finding a wife and having a family. That's what these age ranges from, let's say, 20 all the way to 40, even 44, maybe even 50. This is what we should be doing. We should be out here leading our community, being the leaders of our community, being the pillars and backbone of our community, helping to raise our children so our children don't grow up and be degenerate. But now we want to listen to mumble rap. The men want to listen to drill rap. And you want to imitate until you stand before that judge and they pronounce you going to prison for the rest of your life, and then you start crying, right? Then you get up into the prison cell and there's a welcoming party waiting for you. Fresh meat. Man, let's move on. Let's jump up to verse number 16. It says, Deuteronomy 20:16, it says, cursed shalt thou be in the city and cursed shalt thou be in the field. When you look at what our people went through, and to this day, guys, I don't want you guys to look at this as though this is history. This is the present too. Black people are still getting hung in the South today. Still. Maybe it's not on the level that it was happening back then, but this is still happening. And these people still exist. And by the way, these guys right here, these guys come out of your Democratic Party, because some black folks, even some Israelites, you love you some damn Democrats. The Ku Klux Klan comes out of the Democratic Party. Hope y'all know that. Dwight Eisenhower, your president, actually invited the Ku Klux Klan to the White House. Did you guys know that? There was a movie that came out during the Eisenhower administration that was called Birth of a Nation. And it was about the nation, the birth of the nation, or what it was about the Ku Klux Klan. It was a big Hollywood production that was green-lighted, ladies and gentlemen, by the small hats, because the small hats run Hollywood. Let's say that. Right? Also, you had small hats that fought with the Confederates as well to keep black people in slavery. I wonder why nobody talks about that. If I'm not mistaken, and I'll check it real quick before I go, I mentioned it, and I will forget if I don't do it now. I believe the vice president of the Confederacy was a small hat, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to check that in a minute before I go. And I believe the vice president of the Confederacy, the Confederate president, was Jefferson Davis. And I believe his vice president or one of his top cabinet members was a small hat. Anyway, so this still exists today. Nothing has changed. Even the self-hate, remember Tyree Nichols? It was our people. They look like you, but inside their mind is no different than these guys right here. They get in that department and they become indoctrinated. And let me tell you something. And I know it's a hard job. I know it's a hard job. You got to be really spiritual. But a lot of our people that go into law enforcement, especially the ones that become like corrections officers and police officers, they develop over time a hatred for their own people. Now, you might sit there, which is a curse, right? Now, you might sit there and say, you don't know how that could happen. I'm going to have a moment of transparency with y'all. I don't always, when I'm on TikTok, I don't always feed my mind with just dumb stuff. Sometimes I'll look and see what the trends are and what stupid argument people are having online. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a battle online between Jamaicans and Trinidadians. A whole big battle on TikTok. If you're not on that side of TikTok, the Caribbean side, you probably wouldn't notice, but those that's Caribbean, they know. So you have this artist that most of y'all know. His name is Beanie Man, right? So Beanie Man went to Trinidad, and when he came back, he went on Drink Champs, the podcast Drink Champs with the rapper Nori. So he had mentioned that he was in Trinidad, and Nori was like, yo, he was like, when you went to Trinidad, did you eat doubles? Now, Priest Danyaahla, I don't know what doubles are. I didn't know what doubles were. Right? But doubles is the national dish for Trinidad. So I'm trying to show you guys how cursed out people are, the stuff that they argue about. So Beanie Man was like, no, I didn't eat doubles. And Nori was like, why? He was like, I'm not going to eat nothing that a dog wouldn't eat. That's what he said. When I tell you guys that for 2 weeks, it's probably still going on. I had to kind of change my own algorithm by looking other stuff up, searching other stuff. When I tell you that it was an all-out verbal war and even violence was threatened, that if Beanie Man come back to Jamaica, to Trinidad, people were going to lay hands and hurt him for disrespecting their national dish. How stupid is that? The Jamaicans, a lot of y'all don't know, they don't like Beanie Man like that. I don't know if y'all know that. They don't like him like that. So the Jamaicans told the Trinidadians, y'all could do whatever y'all want to him. We don't care what you do to him. This is how stupid. Okay. Now, about 6 months ago, there was this hideous thing. She had a big platform on, I'm not sure if this person was a transgender or not. I don't know. But she had a big platform on TikTok. This is a foundational Black American. I'm going to call her a she because I'm not sure if she's transgender, so I'm going to call her a she. She has a big platform on TikTok. So her and her partner took a trip to Jamaica. And she came back and she gave her a review of her trip to Jamaica. And one of the things that she said was when she went, the food was nasty. Now, this is somebody that has like 1 million people on her TikTok. When the Jamaicans saw that somebody said the food was nasty, when I tell y'all that they did not stop going back and forth with this woman for like a month, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of videos being made cursing this woman out. Just our people are online talking about stupid stuff. And I don't want to listen. I went to Jamaica and I had nasty food before. It depends on where you go. It depends on where you go. We went to Ocho Rios and with the first Jamaican restaurant we saw, we went in there and the food was nasty. It was. It's not saying that all the food is there, but it's nasty. But you can't say that online because they will want to kill you. All this is foolishness with everything that's going on in the world. This is foolishness because it's a curse that you'd even be arguing about that. Now back to what I was talking about. While all of that is going on, all that foolishness, right? I be having to change my algorithm. So sometimes I just search things out to, find out different things, look things up, what's going on in the world or just in general. So this, and you guys can do this yourself. There's a lot of channels on TikTok that have body cam footage of police officers making stops on the highway, or police officers responding to calls and stuff like that, right? And when I tell you, it be our people, and by the way, the responding officers are our people too, in a lot of cases, responding to calls. And when I tell you the behavior of our people is, and I'm not even an officer, and I'll be sitting there frustrated and mad as hell, like, when you going to shove this dude to the ground, and when you going to shove it to the ground and put her in cuffs? It'd be that bad. And I'm just watching the body cam footage, like, yo, this is crazy, man. I wouldn't have let this go past like 2 minutes, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They'd be mad patient. So being on this job, if you don't have the knowledge of the Most High to balance yourself out, will make you hate your own people. Just go watch some body cam footages and you tell me if I'm wrong, right? I'll be having to catch myself, but I'm not on the job. These guys are on the job. And so what winds up happening is you wind up killing your own, because you already developed that hatred because you're on this job. You're under pressure from the higher ups, the Edomites that are in all positions of power that treat you guys bad. And then you go on the street and the people treat you bad too. So you hate your job, and so you lash out. All of this is a curse. This is an old image. I got to get a newer one of all of our people that have been killed by the police. Of many. A few of many. That's a curse. The majority of these people, if you look, these are young people, women and men. Women are not exempt. Let's talk about all the massacres that happened to many so-called black cities, right? Everybody knows about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, but Tulsa was one of many, many, many progressive black cities that existed that were burned down and destroyed by white folks. They made a movie about this called Rosewood. This is in Florida. If any of you guys saw Rosewood, y'all can put one in the chat. If you haven't seen that movie, try to find it on Netflix or something, or Hulu or somewhere. It might even be available on YouTube. Go watch the movie Rosewood. After slavery, we were very, 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 very progressive and very prosperous, right? But guess what? If you acquire great wealth, if you don't have any military or any might to defend it, then at any time somebody can come and they can take it from you. And that's what happened to us. Because we are under the curse as a people, we separated ourselves, we formed our own cities, we were prosperous, but we were still under these curses. And so there's no might in our hand. And so what wound up happening is, when we were successful and the other nations saw that we were more successful than them, they came and they destroyed our cities. And one of the worst cases is in New York City. It's one of the worst and most egregious of all. Because New York City, it was called Seneca Village. They got rid of Seneca Village and made it into Central Park. That goes from 59th Street all the way to 110th Street in Harlem. Got rid of every trace of it. We're still the last hired, right? We're the last hired. I know that sounds cliche. We always say the last hired, the first fired. No, it's not cliche. It's true. Look at this. A lot of people I work with, either have been laid off or they're on the verge of being laid off. They're just waiting for the pink slip since Donald Trump has come into office. See, sometimes, because again, we're so focused on foolishness that we're not paying attention to the news, or if you do watch the news, you're not really sitting down and calculating what's really happening. So let me bring it to you in 4K today. Let's bring it up to modern times. Donald Trump set up a department called DOGE. You guys have probably heard of it, hopefully. It's called the Department of Government Efficiency. That department only answers to him. It's not regulated by any standards, like other departments are regulated to certain standards, whatever. This is a new thing, and it only answers to him. And he put Elon Musk in that position, and they're talking about they're going around through different government agencies, and they're basically making cuts. Making cuts means they're firing people, right? So when Biden was president, and my numbers may be a little off, you guys can Google it so you get the correct numbers, but I believe when Biden was president, he hired, I want to say, an additional 70,000 IRS workers, right? And one of the reasons why he did that was because you have crypto getting ready to come in. You also have marijuana, right? That's been legalized in certain states. So they needed to hire, according to them, they needed to hire more agents in order for them to deal with all these different things that were going to be coming. Then you had the pandemic that happened. So a lot of people wound up working from home. And now that Trump is president, he gave the order for everybody to come back to work. And the ones that don't want to come back to work are either going to get fired or they're going to be offered a package to retire, right? Some of the folks that are coming back to work, what I didn't know is that when Biden hired them, they were probationary agents. I'm speaking about one particular, this is happening in all the agencies, but I'm speaking about one particular agency, which is the IRS. I didn't realize that they were hired as probationary agents. So Elon Musk then laid off about 200,000 federal workers. A lot of them are IRS agents, and some of them are about to be laid off soon. What I need for you guys to understand is a lot of those IRS agents and everything that you'll be going to see when you go in person to be our people, Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, be us. There's an IRS office in the building I work in. So I work with these people all the time. I see them. And I was surprised when I was talking to some of them this week. They were telling me, yeah, a lot of us are about to get laid off. A lot of the federal workers that are being laid off, a lot of them are us. So we're being laid off our jobs and can't even afford to pay these exorbitant rates for rent in the cities. We can't even afford it. We're barely getting by, and now we're being laid off and fired. Because believe me, they're going to find the waste where we reside in these places. The people that are sitting there making six figures, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 that's not doing nothing, they're not going to lose their jobs. It's going to be our people. Right across the street from where I work, there's the Veterans Association. Most of the people that work in the VA is you and me. That's who's in there. We work these jobs that they're cutting. Just know that. And then they were talking about sending some of the IR, which I still couldn't understand this. I don't know how this makes sense, but maybe this is above my pay grade. They were talking about sending some of the IRS agents to the border to help the border patrol. I'm like, how does that even make sense? I don't know. But anyway, it's wild. Let's move on. We spoke about housing. Like I said, I was in the South Bronx yesterday, and no exaggeration, some of the buildings were looking just like this. And it's a food desert. Back then, it says, "And cursed shalt thou be in the field." Well, we all know what took place during slavery. We were tobacco, cotton, and all other types of things that we were planting and harvesting, so forth and so on, right? And then what was so sad about it is after the slaves were so-called emancipated, a lot of them didn't have anywhere to go. So what did they do? A lot of them returned to their same masters that let them go and sold themselves back to their masters as sharecroppers for little or no pay, just to have a place to live. Just to be able to have the damn hindquarters of the pig again, right? Just to be so the master could give you the intestines of the pig. You want you want them chitlins again. You want them pig feet again. Because you couldn't even do that for yourself after slavery. This is verse 29. It says, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. No sense of direction. It was this way back then, and it's this way still. No leadership in the home, because the father is not in the home, for the most part. And we have no national leaders. The leaders that we have, those are given to us. They're puppets. I want you guys to listen to this real quick. This is an old video. Check this out.
Jerome, how old are you?
9.
9? Do you go to school?
Yes.
Where do you go to school, Jerome?
At the old children elementary school.
I see. What is your sister's name?
Lois.
That's Lois. And what are your other sisters' names?
Catherine. And Beulah.
I want you to see how young those children are. He's their guardian. He's their babysitter. There's no father and the mother's at work. He's babysitting they're all babies. This still happens to this day. Nothing has changed in our community at all.
Catherine and Beulah. What happened to your foot, Jerome?
Juvenile at the battle washout.
Those are those plagues. Look at his feet.
Juvenile at the battle washout.
So you drove a nail in out by the wash house.
He drove a nail and then out by the wash house because he doesn't have shoes. And look at the fly. The fly is right there. The fly is attracted to the wound. Look at that.
What did your mother do for that?
Put some alcohol on
Where do you sleep, Jerome?
in his bed.
You have this big bed?
Yes.
What happened? How did you get that hole in that bed there, Jerome?
The rats.
The what?
Rats.
So the hole in the bed is the rats eat through the bed with the babies in there.
Now, Jerome, you are taking care of Kathy, of Beulah, and Lois.
Yes.
Now, are you going to give them lunch today?
Yes.
What are you going to feed them?
I don't know.
Do you have any food here to give them?
Yes.
What time does your mother come home?
I don't know.
The following day, Aline King, the mother of Jerome.
So this is what sharecropping would look like to a degree, right? This is a little after that, but this is what it would look like. You out in the fields voluntarily working for pretty much nothing.
Kathy, Lois, and Beulah again was picking beans.
Aileen King, I saw your children yesterday at the Okeechobee camp. Why didn't you put them in the nursery?
Don't make them have to pay for it.
How much does it cost to put them in?
85 cents.
85 cents.
That's right.
Aileen, what time did you come out the field this morning?
6 o'clock.
What time would you get home?
About 3:30, 4 o'clock.
6 this morning to 4 o'clock this afternoon.
That's right.
How much did you earn?
$1.
$1?
6 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and she got $1. Even if you adjust for inflation, to back then, it was still nothing. Let's move on. When it says no man shall save us, I want you guys to understand what that literally means. How many of you guys have saw the movie Panther, which is a recreation of the story of the Black Panther Party? It was made by Mario Van Peebles, who, by the way, Hollywood wound up blacklisting him because of the movies he made. He made this movie, and he made a movie called Posse about the black cowboys. They wound up blacklisting him. But this is the movie called Panther, right? And there's a very famous scene in Panther that I want you guys to pay attention to. It's really quick. So this guy right here, sitting at the desk, this is J. Edgar Hoover. And this guy right here and this guy right here are two of his agents, right? This guy here in the middle, he's what they would call a mulatto. He's an agent also. So he's the guy that they sent to infiltrate the Panthers. This guy right here. And so now he's coming back in the movie and he's reporting to Hoover about what he knows. I want you guys to listen to what Hoover said. This is based on a true story. Listen. Let me turn the volume up.
Memos from the commissioner, etc., backing Mr. Hoover's decision to place the Black Panther Party and their subversive activities under the full jurisdiction of the Bureau.
This pattern of harassment is going on against the Black Panther Party across the country. On Friday, the Watts office of the Black Panther Party was bombed and demolished. Last week, the Des Moines office was bombed. This week, they raided the San Francisco office. So they come in and shoot us and shoot tear gas in the office and drag people off to jail like they've lost their minds.
Physically, you look black, but you don't know who you are. You don't know where you're from. You've been given a slave name and a slave mentality. A slave hates itself.
Who's doing this now? I want you guys to look at this, but look at this and use discernment. Who's saying the things that she's saying now? We are. Who's putting the people in order? We are. When they did it, and they did it without the Most High involved, the FBI was like, no. We're going to discredit these people. We're going to create fake circumstances where we can accuse them of certain things, and then we're going to raid them, and we're going to bring them down. And that's what they did. That's what they did. Well, we are doing this now. We're literally saying these things now. I want you guys to know that. So you guys should know what that's going to mean eventually.
Black, but you don't know who you are. You don't know where you're from. You've been given a slave name and a slave mentality. A slave hates himself. A slave hates his skin. A slave hates his natural kinky hair. Give a gun to a slave and he'll kill his own brother.
How long are you going to cry and blame your oppressor before you get up off your knees and do it your goddamn self?
Those are 10 points. If you don't, you do not know what you are living and dying for.
You got to make a distinction. The people are going to have to stand up against the bees. That's what the pastors are doing. That's what the pastors are doing all over the world. They can do anything they want to do. I am a revolutionary.
After that good doctor is gone,
Listen. It's the point I want to get to. Listen. It's very quick. Listen.
After that good doctor is gone, there'll never be another black Messiah unless we create it.
Did you guys catch that? Oh, y'all missed that. I'm going to tell you what he said, and we're going to watch it again. He said, after that good doctor is gone. So he wanted to get rid of Martin Luther King. After him, we're going to get rid of the Black Panthers and anybody like them. And after that, there'll never be another black Messiah unless we create him. Why do you think it is that your politicians and your pastors and whoever the media platforms, meaning they bring them on television and make this person into somebody important, that black people should look to as a leader? The reason why you're being given that person is because that person is on a payroll. They've been brought and paid for. Hoover tells you that. Listen again.
After that good doctor is gone, there'll never be another black Messiah unless we create it.
If you guys don't understand, that's a curse. The curse is not always you having a yoke of iron around your neck and you being in shackles and you getting your back whipped, right? And your baby's feet being fed to alligators. Those are all curses as well. But you know what else a curse is? You not having no power to defend your black cities when you built them, so they destroyed them. And you not having a leader that really cares about you. Everybody that's a leader is somebody that they set up. That's a curse. What is the circular economy? What is that? And why is a circular economy important? Because this is another curse that we're under. We do not have a circular economy. Tulsa, Oklahoma was a circular economy. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. I want you guys to look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's going to explain to you what a circular economy is.
Between the 1870s and the beginning of World War I, Black pioneers settled more than 100 all-Black towns in the West, each with the goal of economic independence. Among the most well-known was a Black district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, known by its residents as Greenwood.
If we were to go back in time to 1920 and walk up and down Greenwood Avenue, one thing that would probably strike us is the absolute variety of businesses. The numbers are astonishing. 30 restaurants, 45 groceries and meat markets. There were dry goods stores, milliners, photography studio, dental offices. Greenwood is no longer called Greenwood. It's now known as Black Wall Street.
And the dollar is circulating in the community. It doesn't leave. It doesn't leave. If you need a dry cleaner, you do it in the community. You want to go to a restaurant, you do it in the community. You need a plumber, you need an electrician, you need a mechanic, whatever it is, it all stays in the community and circulates in the community. You patronize your own people. That's called a circular economy. We don't have that. Every other community on this planet has that. We don't have that. That's a curse. Even the Negroes that's on the damn Clubhouse app that will tell me that you're not under the curses. Every time you're going to spend your dollar, you're spending it with somebody else. You're cursed, even if you don't acknowledge it.
This whole idea of self-containment really existed there. The dollar would stay in that community sometimes over 3-5 years before it ever went outside of the community.
In 1919, Black soldiers returned from World War I with high expectations for racial progress at home. But in one city after another, white mobs erupted in violence, targeting Black veterans, citizens, and businesses. Hundreds died. On Tulsa's Black Wall Street, African Americans, including armed veterans, watched nervously and prepared for what might come.
Because when we did for self and it was successful and our dollars circulated in our community, we were more successful than the white communities that was around us. We were more successful, more prosperous. We had more money than they did. And so they got jealous and came in and attacked our cities and burned them down. That's what they did. Because guess what, brothers and sisters, like I told y'all before, even these brothers that were a part of the military, they did not have the might or the strength to be able to defend these cities the way that we might have wanted to. And that's why they don't exist today. And there have never been 100 Black cities as strong as this with so-called Black. When I say Black, I'm talking about our people. So all the tribes. There's never been that since this time on purpose. But then they turn around and tell you, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And this is America. And everybody has the same opportunities. But guess what? If we had that from then until now, we'd be in a whole different position. But they got rid of it. and started giving these other nations loans to open up businesses in our community. And these nations come in and they suck us dry and take the money out of the community. And we sit idly by. It's like it can't do nothing. Like I said, we're in the middle of a food desert in the ghetto. And those stores that are owned in the ghetto are owned by the Arabs. The Arabs are selling you chicken. The Koreans are selling our women wigs, right? And extensions. And by the way, just on a side note, who said, sorry, sisters, but there's a study that came out recently. It might even be this week, where it came out that the top 10 hair extensions that are synthetic braids. I have the information. The top 10 synthetic braids that a lot of our sisters use have been linked to cancer. So the Koreans are selling that stuff. What time is it? I'm gonna have to go shortly, but I think that's even more important than me finding the other thing that I said. But let's continue a little bit. So you had Rosewood, right? They wound up burning that down. They had a circular economy. It's a video here. We're not going to watch it for the sake of time. Yes. Right? You had Chicago, Illinois. They had a circular economy. That wound up being destroyed. Yes. Right?
Sunday.
Now, this is the last video I'm going to watch because, you know what? We're not even going to watch it. I just want you guys to see something right here. Then you have the small hats, right? The small hats, they still practice a circular economy, still. It isn't because they're God's chosen people. It's not because they're better at business than we are. No, that's not why. That's not why. The reason why they're more successful than anybody else, or one of the reasons, I ain't gonna say the only one, is because they practice a circular economy. I have experienced that firsthand in places where I worked. In places where I worked, where they were the ownership, the person that came to damn mop the floors was one of them. Anytime a computer tech would come, be one of them. A plumber comes, it's one of them. An electrician comes, it's one of them. The garbage man that came picked up the garbage was one of them. The cleaning company was one of them. You never saw them hiring somebody outside of that to come in and service their business. They get that from their Talmud. We're going to go into that in future weeks. I have a lesson called Let Them Speak. Well, I'm going to show you in their Talmud that these are practices that their Talmud teaches them to practice a circular economy. We've been told that that's the wrong thing to do. We halfway been told it's racist to love your own people and put your people first. The Christian church, you love all people. Everybody's God's children. So you wind up carrying that over into your economy, where now you feel as though if you go and you support the East Indians in the 99-cent store, and if you buy the chicken from the damn Arabs from Mama's Fried Chicken, or the Hamites that own the daggone soul food restaurants in Harlem, or the Koreans that own the goddamn nail salons, right? And the Koreans also have a monopoly on the Caribbean supermarkets in New York. All you Jamaicans and Trinidadians and Barbadians and Antiguans and Haitians, right? Your little Caribbean supermarket, the one in Queens, the one in the Bronx, the two in the Bronx on Boston Road, the one here in Newark, New Jersey, all those Korean, all those daggone Western that's selling nothing but stuff that come from Jamaica and all these other places. But guess who owns it? It's owned by the freaking Koreans. Understand that. And you think you're doing God's service, well, I'm supporting everybody because everybody, no. This is how you destroy yourself because you don't understand that that's a curse when you don't have a circular economy in your community. Y'all give me a second. 1 second, y'all. Okay. Yep. Found it. Got it. Let's share the screen for our beautiful sisters. Sorry to be the one to report this to you, but it is what it is. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? So this came out recently. See, so I came back in, so I'll bring him to the stage. Yeah, let me share this with you, sisters, real quick. And this is not hatred. This is love. I just want you guys to think about it. If you're going to, I understand the need for protective styles, so forth and so on. If you guys, sisters, are going to put something on your head, you're going to have to really read the ingredients or do some research on it. Don't just buy the stuff that's on sale. So you guys can see, this is from consumerreports.org. This is an advocacy group. This just came out 2 days ago. Let's see. Okay. It says, CR, Consumer Report, calls on FDA to regulate synthetic braiding hair, citing toxic chemical risk. This was put out 2 days ago. Yonkers, New York. Consumer Report CR tested 2 samples each of 10 popular synthetic hair brands and found carcinogens in all of the synthetic braiding hair samples. The products were tested for heavy metals and volatile organic compounds, which can pose health risks such as cancer and hormonal disruption, which a lot of women in the world suffer from, a lot of hormone problems. They're saying some of that is linked back to these toxic synthetic brands that some of our sisters are using, which are being sold to you by the Koreans. This, brothers and sisters, is a curse. I'm sorry. But I'm going to stop there. You want to say something, Zahab?
Yeah, look, I just got back to New York, man. My job sent me to Massachusetts, right? And the hotel I was staying in, right? I don't know. I think they might be Koreans, Chinese. I don't know. Close your eyes, throw a dart. It's one of them, right? They rented out, because when you go to the hotels, they got a convention room on the first floor, right? Where, most people, you could rent out the room and it's like a convention. You want to do a presentation or whatnot. So we booked our rooms, and I was passing by to get to my room, brother. That whole convention hall stunk of chemicals. I was like, what the hell? So the other people on my job was like, yo, why does it smell like that? Sure enough, we checked in, came back downstairs. We was in the lobby, was about to go to dinner. I just said, what the hell is that smell? I went in there. They had a freaking convention on, nails, when them Koreans do nails. Brother, I opened the door, I looked, I swear to God, I thought it was a crack house. They was chopping up chemicals, priests. They was cutting up, dividing chemicals. They had the big white, the plastic gallon containers, the big buckets or whatnots. They was mixing chemicals. They didn't even have the the mask you put on for hazardous material. They didn't have that, bro. When I say the whole hotel stunk of chemicals, my point is this. You're talking about synthetic hair being carcinogenic, right? What about the chemicals they use in nails? I know a lot of sisters love to go get their nails did and all this, that, the third. I'm telling you, I saw it firsthand. It was nothing but chinks, gooks, line after line, going in and out, going in and out. And the poster outside of the door, it says something nail convention or whatever. But what it is it looks like they control like that part of Massachusetts, all the nail shops, and they was reeing up and getting their chemicals from there. So it's a curse, man. It's for real. And they don't give a damn, because when you go in them nail spot, it'd be a little bit of Esau, but 99.9% is our people, man. And I know for a fact, because them chemicals smell disgusting. Yeah. And they didn't even have no hazmat material on. So I just wanted to bring that out. You're right, priest. It's a damn curse, man. These nations, they don't give a damn about us.
Nope. Just your money. That's it. And they're funded and financed by the banks. They have the money to come in your neighborhood to suck all the money out so you don't set up businesses in your own neighborhood and practice a circular economy. And that way we can actually improve some of our conditions in this captivity like all the other nations do. But brothers and sisters, I went over 30 minutes over my time. I was supposed to be done at 11:30, but I just wanted to, the spirit was on me, but I just wanted to give you guys as much as I could. So now I'm going to have to drive kind of fast, hit the pedal to the metal. Love y'all, brothers and sisters. If you're watching the video and you haven't hit the like button, make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed. We're here every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if it be the Most High's will. If you're watching and you have not hit the like button, you need to repent, believe the gospel. And thank you to everybody that continues to send donations into the camp. We can definitely use it, especially with Passover coming up. And please pay attention.
Thank you.
Yep, God. And please pay attention to the bottom of the screen. All the information regarding Passover, if you want to attend, and where to email is scrolling across. It's your brother, Priest Danyaahla, Elder Zahab, representing the Lions of Israel. We'll be back next week. Most High will. With that, we say shalom.
Toast, 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 toast. Yo. Let's make a toast to completing the goals we set to do or be stuck in the hole. It's a marathon, not a race. Stick with the pace and stay in your place. It's champagne for the celebration. I'm full of light like it's dedication. Yahweh's laws is my meditation and my legislation. That's right. I do this for fun and not for the funds. They call me a shield in Hebrew a gun. Protecting my energy, pray for my enemies, blessing the fam. Send me the Addy, I'm there. Hustling hard, collecting my shares. If it ain't truth, you know I don't care. Evil is something I feel in the air. To whom it may concern. Y'all talk dollars, not wisdom. Nah, I ain't respecting it. Trying to play the Most High, like you won't get checked in your residence. Corny Instagram clowns, swearing like we ain't out here getting it. These dudes ain't getting the money I'm getting, so when they talk cash, it's irrelevant. I'm riding clean in the Range Rover. You played yourself, now it's game over. The red dot in between the shoulder to the booster shot. I ain't talking COVID. When the cards is dealt, you gotta deal with it. Shout out to the ones that's real with it. When it's time for war, they in the field with it. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You get what you give, so put in the work. Afterwards, you enjoy all the perks. Actions always speak louder than words. You talking too much, you just wanna be heard. If you're doing good, keep your prayers up. If you're doing bad, keep your prayers up. During hard times, you gotta know it's tough, but you gotta get up. Fool me once, that's shame on you. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. The sermon is key, my wrist is on freeze, feeling like it's below 0 degrees. The more that I see, the more that I learn. You're not in your grind, and bridges will burn. Recognize when it's your time. Everybody get a turn. Do your thing when it's showtime. I rip hard when it's go time. I'm praising Yahweh to kingdom come, and the Mashiach Yahweh Shai is son. As soon as he come, the wicked is done. Don't matter the place or set that you from. Don't matter the place or set that you from. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. You on the Lord's side, step over here. You on the world's side, step over there. A toast to all of my people, cheers, put your cups in the air. Put your cups in the air. Put your cups in the air.